This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Monday, June 27th, 2016, episode 76. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. At Nicholas M. Craig is my Twitter. InfectionPodcast.com is the website. Had a really, really great week of H1Z1 and ARC news. But joining me, before we get this thing started, is Brian Aldridge. Hey, Brian.
Hey, so if you want to find me at Voicing Computer on Twitter, if you want to go to Bite of Tech, BITE of Tech.com, more than welcome to check out my blog and then our website, infectionpodcast.com. We've got our Discord, which has been going really strong. Been really happy with that. Discord seems to keep people hanging out in there. Or at least one thing I like about Discord is that you can sit there and type and kind of carry on a conversation and not feel forced to, because a lot of people are always hesitant to go on mic, or maybe you just can't, but you can sit there and type. So it keeps people in there, and you can just have a little side conversation going from the people talking.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Yeah, it's nice. So. It's, there's, I don't always feel, this is going to sound really stupid, but I don't always really, I really always don't feel like being in TeamSpeak and talking to people. Sometimes I just am, I'm listening to, like, I'll be listening to something. I'm not,
and you can't really be in TeamSpeak typing.
No, it sucks, because there's no global.
Yeah, because people either, if they're talking, they don't read the chat a lot of times.
So it's nice.
So
like I can be listening.
It gives kind of its own side thing. Even if you are talking, you can kind of see what other people are talking about in chat. Just they can keep on their own side conversation going, and then you can also be playing a game at the same time and see what people are talking. So it is. I mean, I've been enjoying it. I'm not even logged into TeamSpeak right now, but I have kept it logged in. But I think people are mostly sticking with Discord.
Yeah, and it's nice because I have the Discord app, which is nice. So like I get. I turned off all notifications except when somebody ats me, and then if they at me in Discord, it'll pop up, which is nice because I guess because the Steam app doesn't give you any notifications. So if somebody really needs to get a hold of me, they can. Also
on Discord, like the app is free. That was the thing about TeamSpeak. If you wanted to get the app for TeamSpeak, it was like what, $5 or something.
Yeah, it was like $4, I think. Yeah, I bought it and.
Yeah, I mean I own it too, but. This makes it a lot easier for someone just to keep, because for me, I would always, like, let's say I wanted to, having it on my phone, the only real use of having TeamSpeak on your phone is if you're going to be talking on it.
Yeah.
And so for me, I would plug it in my car, and I could kind of use like a walkie-talkie for talking to people. This is the nice thing about Discord is you just keep it on there, and it'll actually tell you the different text that's going by. It's kind of like what Skype does.
It's IRC.
Hangouts.
It's pretty much a modern IRC. Because nobody uses IRC, except for me, I guess. I'm always in IRC. But
yeah. I'm never in IRC anymore.
This IRC is great. So yeah, there's Discord. There's a link on our website. If you're in the Twitch chat, you can do !Discord. The link will pop up. It's on Twitter. It's on the website. You can find it if you want it. So, or just ping Brian or myself, and we'll get you on that too.
Also, make sure you get onto our Steam group.
Yeah,
that is
definitely
Yeah, that's the way that, let's say we're going into H1Z1 to play. If you're not in that Steam group, it makes it really difficult for me to find you, to add you to our group. So that's an excellent way to find our Steam profiles or anyone else in the clan Steam profiles. Just join our group and you'll see them listed there, so you can start doing friend requests.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start off with, we did our game of the week. Last week it was DayZ. It was not good. DayZ...
Well, I know a number of people don't have DayZ, first of all.
Well, here's the thing.
Probably a limited group.
Now, that's not true. And I thought the same thing. And then I asked Musty, because Musty was always throwing around the idea of playing DayZ. And 85 of my Steam friends have DayZ. So, and there's plenty of people in the Steam group that had DayZ too. The issue with DayZ is none of us had played recently because it's the 0.60 update, which kind of got everybody back. It was the first time I'd played. I think since like 2012. I'd really have never played this. I really never played the standalone because it always sucked. But I played the Arma 2 mod. So I hadn't played it in forever. There's way too many commands and way too many keybinds and shortcuts to do stuff. And the map is too big. There's no map in game, and we only played for like 2 hours. So I met up with one person, but I never killed anything, and we never accomplished anything. So it was a lackluster night for sure.
Yeah. Now, is there not a ton of players? Like when you go on the server, is it because that seems to be kind of the way it works now in a lot of these games? It's really difficult to find people to kill. You're kind of just running around, which sometimes you don't want to run into people, but sometimes you do.
The server that we were on, it was full actually. There was 30 people on it. So there was a few people that had to sit in queue. Like I think Joe had to sit in queue for a little while to get in, but the map is so big in DayZ that, and the ammo, like here's the thing. DayZ is a great game. It is true survival. There is no doubt that when you are playing DayZ, there's no ammo, there's no food. I died of starvation 3 times because there's literally no food or water in the game. The bandages and stuff are super rare to get. You can't just shred your hat and clothes. You have to have a knife or a hatchet or something sharp to shred them. So it's a real, that's what I would call a survival game. That's a real survival game.
It's tough to sit there and stream something like that though, unless you have some special project once you get going. But starting out, there's a lot of running.
Yeah, exactly. And I wasn't even trying to go anywhere because I knew if I tried to go somewhere, I was just going to end up dying. I would run out of food or water. I just kind of hung around where I spawned. The zombies are really hard to kill, and I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. DayZ is a great game. It was not good for a game night with people who had played the game in like 2 or 3 plus years. That was the issue. Not that DayZ is bad, and not that I'm not complaining to DayZ about DayZ, but it doesn't make a very good play with your friends game night because you're not playing with your friends because you're going to die. And, that's what it is.
It's a lot of running around trying to catch up with each other.
Yeah. So exactly.
And no one has quite enough of a foothold to really protect.
I used to. If this game day was happening 4 years ago, I would have been a pro. I knew every road, every little watch point in every single city. I had hundreds of hours on the DayZ standalone mod. Hundreds, probably close to 500 hours on the DayZ standalone mod. And but after 4 years of not playing, all of that knowledge and it's all gone. Like I couldn't even figure out how to crouch until I had to look in the settings and see where it was. It was pretty brutal. So we will not be doing that again anytime soon. I can assure you that. But it was still fun to join the game, see what was up. By the way, the game looks fantastic. That new renderer is in place.
I keep seeing those screenshots, and it just looks beautiful.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it looks like a movie. The new renderer is in place. It's rocking and rolling. It looks really, really nice. But that's a hardcore survival game. If that's what you're looking for, that's what it is. It's a hardcore survival game. So
I was hoping that it was going to be more on sale than it was with the Steam Summer Sale.
You want to get right into that? Because this Steam Summer Sale sucks. It's awful. There's no flash sales, which is
I don't know
issue.
if I'm having a hard time seeing like the good deals because there's a lot of games that I already own. So maybe if there are some games on sale that if I looked at them, I'd be like, okay, I don't own that one. But all the ones that are really good or on sale a decent amount are ones I already own. So those I kind of skip right by as I'm looking at them. But even the ones I want, like I wanted to watch DayZ, that one was so poorly on sale that it's like, well, now it's not even really worth it. Like the 10% off more than what they usually give you 5% off or something is what they mark it off.
It's a 15%. It's what DayZ is doing is a 15% sale. And real quick before we get into this, Brian, we've got the list of games up on infectionpodcast.com of games to watch for the Steam Summer Sale. So add them to your watch list. Most of these games are on. Actually, I would say I think every single one of these games is on sale. The list is DayZ, The Forest, Rust, Hurt World, Hide and Hold Out, Ark, Miscreated in 7 Days. I'm almost certain every single one of them is on sale. So you can get all of these games. They are on sale.
I mean, they'll be cheaper than normal.
But like H2O,
maybe not as cheap as last year.
H2O is the only game that I don't have, and it's because it's like a $3 sale. It's not, and it's still like $17, I think, and it wasn't something I was. It's not something I'm willing to spend $17 on at least at this point in time.
Yeah.
But
definitely The Forest, because I know we're going to be doing a game night for The Forest
soon.
The Forest is a lot of fun. Nick and I both have that. I know a number of people have that. So this would be a good opportunity because it is cheaper than normal. They don't seem to put it on sale except for special things like this. There was a long period of time where I had it on my watch list and it never went on sale. So right now that is 20% off. So it's $11.99. I mean, it's not a hugely expensive game, anyways.
What is this you're talking about again?
The Forest.
Oh, the Forest. Okay, yeah, the Forest. I thought. You
Yeah, it's not highly expensive, but I just didn't want to pay full price. I mean, that's how I am. So I was like, oh, I'll wait for it to go on sale. And they don't do it until it's either the winter sale or the summer sale, or maybe they'll have something going on. So I watched it for about 3 or 4 months, and it didn't. 3 months, I think, it didn't on sale. So.
I got Rust, which was on sale. I didn't own Rust. I got it for $10, which that's a good deal. It was 50% off. It's normally 20. So, by the way, the Civilization Complete Collection is on sale, like really, really on sale. It's like 90% off. So if you don't have Civ 5, it's not a survival game by any means, but if you don't have Civ 5, you can literally get the whole game for like the whole game and all of the expansions, which are hundreds of dollars. You can literally get for like $20 right now. So it's
there's a lot of deals. I mean, usually we'll just look at these main titles, but even when I was going through and looking at what I was going to do for the game giveaway, I was like, man, all these are on sale so much. A lot of these titles that I have, it's like I feel bad giving away because they're selling for $3-4 right now. Oh, it's like it makes me feel like my games are worthless.
Yeah. This is the Civ 5. Listen to this. Civ 5 Complete Edition with all of the DLC is 92% off. It's $12.27. It's normally $150. So if you've got any sense of Civ and how expensive these games and DLCs are, you really need to buy this. So there you go.
Yeah, it definitely.
It's a great deal.
I'm really into those bundles. Like when they had the Source bundle or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Like I got so many games in that because it came with all the Left 4 Deads and just everything that they've done. Yeah. Like you get some of those bundles to where you can just get a huge amount of games.
Yeah, and a few,
especially during these times. They don't seem to do that as much anymore.
No, and a few other games that are on sale that aren't survival. GTA 5 is on sale, $35. I bought it at $40 because I thought that's the lowest it was ever going to be. But that's like $36 is an unbelievable deal. And then Fallout 4
it's an amazing game.
It's $30. Fallout 4, $30. And the same thing with Doom, $36 for Doom. So you can get.
No, we'll have a list here, and these are going to be on our show notes. So some of these aren't survival
games.
That's
the thing.
But I just kind of looked at what things we might even play on the Friday night game nights, like Rocket League.
We're doing GTA soon, by
CS:GO. All these games that sometimes we'll throw in there just for fun to get everybody kind of playing together because survival games, as you said, you learned earlier, aren't always the best for a Friday night game night because they take so much time to get going. So, so I put just a list, added some to this that were in Hurt World. Don't buy.
Oh yeah, don't buy Hurt World.
Don't buy Hurt World. If you're going to pay the $12 or whatever that Hurt World is right now, just buy 1 month of the Humble Bundle. You'll get Hurt World in like 3 days. So don't buy Hurt World there. Just subscribe to Humble Bundle and you'll get 4 or 5 other games.
Yeah, and I'm almost certain it's going to be other survival games because the background is a Hurt World background. I would not surprise me if this Humble Bundle monthly is a survival. If it had 1 or 2 other survival games, that would be really neat. So,
and that's what I'm hoping for. So, make sure if you are considering Hurt World, just go grab the Humble Bundle because we are going to be doing that for game night. Even it may not be something we stick with long term, but at least we'll do a game night of it so that we can all experience it. Because I've never played it, and I don't know a ton of people that have played it. So it'd be kind of fun to get everybody together and just see what we can do.
Yeah. And by the way, the Hurt World, if you pre-purchase the Humble Bundle, like if you just have your card on there and it just does it every month, you can. It's already in your game, like your key list. I already downloaded it and installed it, so it already charged my card and everything. So that's cool stuff too.
Yeah.
So there you go.
All right. So we'll have a list. I mean, it's probably 10, 15, 10, a little over 10 titles.
Yeah, and every single one of them is on sale. So that's the you can get all those games. Now the next thing is this week's game night. So what are you guys playing this Friday, Brian? I don't think I'm going to be here, but what are you guys playing?
Okay, so for this week we are going to be doing Ark. We have our own server that I've wiped clean, and there's a lot of new content inside of Ark. So when we're wanting to experience that, Arc is one where you can just pour your life into it if you want to. But we're going to do just for the weekend, because it is a holiday weekend in the United States, we'll be doing a 2x XP, so twice the experience, 4-time speed on the tame. So this will just kind of help people get started. We may not continue. Some people will continue to play, but even if you're just looking at kind of getting in and playing a little bit, creating a character, having some fun, we'll be doing a game and really be exploring some of the new content and looking at some of the new things they've added to Arc in the last couple of weeks. So this will be Friday. If you don't have Arc, it is on sale right now. Excellent game to get, and it's one that's one of the most actively developed games that I've ever seen. They're always, and they're actually upcoming tomorrow. We'll be going over this when we talk about Arc, but even tomorrow they're adding a big content update. So yeah. This will be pretty cool.
Yeah, that is an understatement about the development of that game. It's crazy how much development they're doing on that game.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, they know what they're doing, and they put out consistent content every single week, and they've been doing it for almost a year now.
It's over a year now.
Is it over a year old now?
So, yeah.
So they had the anniversary. So for a little more than a year, they've been doing such consistent content that now the game is unbelievably well-rounded. The server, I mean, I look at the server stats and the amount that it used to take to run the servers versus now, like they've got it so lightweight, everything. Remember when we first started playing, they had the huge amount of lag that you would get, like the constant, 3 to 5 second pauses.
Yeah, exactly. It would make the game
that doesn't even exist anymore. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's they've optimized the game, and more importantly, or they've optimized the server, but more importantly, they've optimized the actual game itself and the client. Before, unless you had the game on an SSD, it would take like probably 3 or 4 minutes to load into the game. It's instant now, even if you're not on an SSD, which I know a lot of people aren't, because the game's probably 20 gigabytes.
It's a pretty big game, yeah.
So a lot of people are on spinning discs, but they've really figured their stuff out.
If you do not own Arc, I mean, I would suggest during the sale, because I don't know how much cheaper it's going to get than this. I mean, I'm sure in the future, but being that it's so actively developed, it's not like it's going to get stale and they're going to put it for practically nothing.
Yeah. If there was one game out of this Steam sale out of the list on our website, I would say it's Arc. It's normally $30. You're getting it for $16.49. It's almost 15%. Or almost 50%. Really, really recommend it. And you've got until July 4th to buy it. So you've got actually a week. You've got exactly a week from today to buy it. So
if you're going to want to play with us, just pick it up before the Friday night game night, and we'll
get it installed.
Go from there.
Yep, and just a real quick note before we get into the news on the Friday night game night: launch your game beforehand.
Make sure it's updated.
Yeah, get an account.
We'll have a link. I'll have a link to get directly into our server.
We'll put a post up on the website how to join the server. But launch the game, try it, make sure you can join a server, because we've had issues where people can't join servers and they have to verify files. Do all that stuff beforehand, so there's less of an issue. Friday night, you don't have to deal with that stuff. So that's what's going on with this week's game day. Now we're 20 minutes into the show, and we haven't even referenced the fact that we saw Z2 for the first time ever. Not for the first time ever. We've seen pictures, but we actually saw Z2 for the first time.
I mean,
this week.
You've seen pretty much what looked like they were in just like little sandboxed, like let's say the city. You could always see the edge.
Mm-hmm.
You could always see like where they had put a border around it, that it was in a little test environment. It was on the real map, wasn't on the real map. And then they would show shots of like mountain scenes that were the real map, but you never really saw everything together.
Yes.
It always seemed like it was kind of like a little test thing. Maybe Bumjik Farms was not, I didn't really see the edge around that, but most of the stuff we saw before always looked like it was highly in development. So they really surprised us and said, hey, we knew a little bit beforehand.
Yes, yes, we did.
From some little bit of insider information. And so we had a little hint of what was happening. We actually got to see the map, overhead view of the map before, I guess everyone else did.
Yeah.
And I was, you were looking at the map when we were just kind of going over it, preparing for the show the day before. we were looking at the map, and you were just surprised at how much content, and I was definitely surprised too, at how many things they had on the map, like little towns and
yeah, exactly.
I mean, not little towns, but like subdivisions and houses and just things.
So let's quickly, if you've been under a rock and you don't know what's been going on, the new Z2 map is out, and this is pretty much this is the important part of it. There's 4 main cities, the 3 already existing cities, and this new city called Harris Bluffs, and that's in the northwestern part of the map. There's Taquito, which is the rename of Rancho Taquito, which is in the northeastern part of the map. There is Pleasant Valley, the new Pleasant Valley, which is smack dab right in the middle, like where the radio tower was on Z1, which is, by the way, double the size of PV on Z1. So it's double the size of the main city. And then Cranberries down here, pretty much due south of Pleasant Valley here. Now,
what's strange is they changed the spelling. I know there was a lot of uproar about Rancho because everybody refers to it as Rancho, right?
Yeah.
They changed it to Taquito with the odd spelling. I mean, it's like TAH.
It is TAHKEETO, Taquito.
Which no one really, I don't know why they changed that unless there was some sort of something else that's named Taquito. Yeah. Like a food, or there could be some reason they're like, oh, whoops, we can't use that spelling. So they changed it to a very odd type of spelling that I've never seen before.
So this is kind of what I want to highlight here really quick. We did the wrap-up show where we've got really, really in-depth analysis of the live stream. It's on our YouTube channel. Go check it out, and it's on the website as well. It won't not be. I've had somebody ask me today. It's not going to be a podcast. It's not going to download. There's no audio file. You have to watch it anyway. So,
there was so much visual content that you'd be like, I don't get what's going on here.
Yeah, so it's on YouTube, but you can watch it there. So, real quick, this is a 2048 pixel map from our friends over at H1Z1DB. And this is the zoomed out map. This is as far as it can be zoomed out, and this is just Windows Photo Viewer. If I zoom in right here to this tiny little area right down here by this dried up lake, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's a little one right up here. These are distinct areas with multiple houses. Actually, there's more up here. There's another one up
like
here.
Subdivisions.
And then there's another one up here. I mean, there's multiple houses. Down here, there's up here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 4 or 5 houses down here in this area, just in this little area. And then to the right of it, there's like 16 or 20 houses. Yeah. This is just one little area on the map. I mean, they have totally revamped the whole. You look at how Z1, everything was really close together, and there was just miles of nothingness.
Of dead space.
Yeah. You would just
you kind of memorize where everything was at. I mean, I remember we'd start BR, and it's like, okay, we land at this one house. All right, let's head this direction. There's a campground. There's like a little fire pit right here. All right, then you move to this. There's one thing right here. Oh, you move to this. There's one thing right here, and then okay, we're heading to the subdivisions of PV. Like that was because those were the only things between that point to the next point, and that was the only chance that you had to get loot.
Yeah.
Now there's going to be areas to where you're not forced to land at that one house and then hope you can pick up a few things on the way. Like if you land over that area, you have those 5 places to pick from. So it's not going to be everybody going for one place anymore, which is nice.
And the one example I can have right here is Hunter Drive on Z1. I mean, look at that yellow line. There's literally nothing there. There's little compounds and there's an RV park. So,
you look at, you have the you have the RV park or
mobile home park. Yeah.
Mobile home park. Yeah. You have that. And then you have those very little, which didn't have a ton of stuff anyways.
Those little compound areas.
Compounds.
But like, that's it. That's a big portion of the map. Now, if
there would be no reason to go up there. Like nobody goes up to the upper left generally. I mean, unless you're really stuck up there and you will go for the mobile homes. But there wasn't much reason to go there. Now,
so if we look
up north.
Exactly. Now we look at Z2. There's some kind of shop over here. There's houses here. There's a few houses here. There's houses here, way up north up here, a huge subdivision over here, and then there's little dot, and I'm putting little dots on the map where there's individual houses or campsites But look at all this stuff. I'm just highlighting things that are popping out right away. This is the northern part of the map. There was nothing previously in this area.
Yeah. Now, Gravity is saying, this is kind of designed for BRs, not just survive.
I disagree.
I don't
completely.
really agree with that, because I think now having loot more dispersed, this gives them an opportunity, and supposedly they're really redoing how the loot disbursement system is.
Yes, and actually, I have that written down, and actually it's on
his trusty notebook.
No, that's not the right notebook. I misplaced the notebook where that is actually written down. But yes, there was a very specific thing about loot. Actually, I have this notebook. Hold on a second, Brian.
Okay. That's one thing that with this, it's like even in Just Survive, you have the ability to run around and just look at these different places. And now it's not going to be, okay, well, this one place has to have this item, because there's only like 3 places to possibly have the item. It's going to be one of these 3 places. If they keep it evenly dispersed enough,
yeah,
you can just kind of say, well, I'm going to run around the map and see what I can find. It will feel more random.
Yeah. So real quick, there's 61 new, they say point of interest. I don't know what classifies as a point of interest. If there's 4 little houses in a row count as a POI, I'm not sure. But 61 point of interests. But the big thing, and I made sure I wrote this down from their live stream, is there's new layout for loot in the houses, which is what you described, Brian. Right now, the best example, and I think everybody that's watching the stream would probably knows about this. If you were near the rich houses in Pleasant Valley, there was a green shed that always had a shotgun and ammo spawned, and that was it. Every single time there was a shotgun and ammo there if somebody else hadn't already grabbed it. That should not be the case in Z2. There's a new loot layout, which means it should be random loot, not the same place. You're not going to be able to go to the one house, go into the bedroom, and know that there's going to be an AR in the corner every single time.
Yeah.
That's not the case. So, and the next thing here is Gravitas pointed out that the Z2 is still 8x8.
Which it is right now.
It is, but they specifically said, and I wrote this down, that it's a 10x10K map with an 8x8 playable area, compared to the old map, which is an 8x8 with a 6x6 playable area. So I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Okay, so no, here I'll clarify a little bit more,
yes,
because you are correct. So they haven't expanded that extra 2x2 yet.
Yes.
Right now the edges are very rough.
Yeah, because it's an 8x8, but it's an 8x8 playable
8x8,
surface.
But they've actually created a 10x10 version where
it's
there's
just
a mountain buffer of 2x2.
Exactly. So it's a 10x10 map.
But they haven't expanded it yet. So right now what they actually have in game is the 8x8, just without the mountains.
Yeah, it's just a line.
Like cut off early.
Exactly. But it's
so
still...
they'll be adding later the 10x10. But what you're actually playing is what it will end up being. You'll just have a little bit of extra mountain to see,
which you won't You won't go onto
which you won't be able to play on. So it's not changing the actual.
Yeah,
experience.
I saw a lot of people on Twitter.
Really visual.
A lot of people on Twitter were saying that we were wrong, and it's an 8x8 map. Yeah. It's an 8x8 playable map, yes. But if you Z1 is 6x6.
People say, "Oh, you're wrong because you said we haven't seen this map yet." No, we've seen pieces of the map.
We have yet to see the map. Before Friday, we had not seen the map.
You never saw a complete version of the map. You didn't. No one can tell me they knew about the new city. No one knew that Rancho Taquito was going to be changed to Taquito with a different spelling.
No. I mean, we found out at the same time as everybody else.
What was going to be on the map, or anything about the new map. No one knew. They did a very good job keeping their mouths closed.
They did. And by the way, we forgot to open with this. I opened with this on the post show. We were wrong, Brian. We were totally dead out. We were totally freaking wrong. We were wrong. There's no doubt in my mind that we were completely freaking wrong. I was expecting to see this map late 2016, early 2017, because guess what? They did such a good job at just showing little bits and pieces on that gray platform that we'd become so used to seeing, that one day they're like, all right, let's do this, and they put it out. Now, there was a bit of a debacle with the test server going out. So they did the stream on Friday, and then they said, which we knew this last week, but we couldn't say anything, that it was going to be on the test servers on Friday. The day that they did the stream, there were some issues with the rollout. No loot was spawning. And by the way, Chris Wynn, who is the executive, what is he? The executive producer of games at Daybreak, something like that. I think that's his title. Yeah. He is so unbelievably social with this stuff. He was putting out status updates on Twitter. He was updating people with what's going on. He even asked the question, do you want us to put the map on without loot spawns? And everybody said yes, except for I tweeted no. But everybody said yes.
You just have to be contrary.
No, there's no contrary. I didn't want to play without loot spawns. But everybody said yes, so he made the choice to put Z2
Now I did,
online.
so I can give you my perspective.
Yeah, go for
of
it.
At least playing. So it pretty much came down to you would land, and you would shred your hat or shred your gloves or your what is it? Goes
Your
over
bandana.
your face. Bandana. And at least get a piece of cloth where you could make a bow. So you would make a bow and you just start picking up as many sticks as you could. I mean, you couldn't even make, something to chop down a tree with. So you would try to find sticks, make a bow and arrow, and then just start running. There was no loot to pick up, but there were vehicles.
Okay.
And I couldn't find where they were actually at, but there were a few vehicles on the map somehow. And so pretty much people would find these vehicles, and then it may be 10 minutes into a game and all of a sudden you see, oh, this person was killed by a pickup truck. So someone found one of the vehicles that are on the map. And there were airdrops. So airdrops would come, usually a person with the vehicle would get to it first, and then you would see, oh, this person was killed with an AR-15, and it went downhill really fast from there.
Nice.
But it was very much, if you could find a vehicle, you'd be way ahead of everyone else. If you could reach an airdrop, which, I mean, being that was the only source of weapons other than the bow and arrows, everybody would run for these. So it just turned into a mass, everyone shooting bow and arrows until someone managed to loot it. And then all of a sudden everybody got mowed down with these ARs or with 308s or whatever happened to be in there.
So did you actually see, how about the actual map? What was the map like?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot. I mean, what they showed, a lot of it, it's really difficult to see because you run around and you're staying away from the cities because there's nothing there. I would run through and just kind of hang out, but it was definitely a much better spaced map. Being that I didn't know where anything was, like I had no clue where vehicles were spawning or anything like that, because like I would drop in the city. I went through and looked through the whole city just to see, not to really try to survive, but just kind of see, well, are there vehicles hidden here? Like, where are these coming from? Nothing was coming in from the cities. I ran around where that helicopter is, kind of check that out. Right now, there's a glitch to where you can actually run through things. So,
yeah.
Like I went and stood inside of the helicopter in case someone came while I was looking around at things. People would go underneath of roads. So there's a lot of that kind of cleanup that they're going to have to do. But they are going to keep this open just for the weekend. So they're unlocking it over the weekend, allowing people to play, probably collecting statistics, seeing what's happening, and then they close it down, which is how they should be doing test servers anyways.
Yes.
And they'll do their patches during the work week, and then when they have a set of patches, they'll put that on the test server and say, all right, guys, play this.
Now,
And I think it was fine that they did it without drops initially. I mean, it gave people kind of get it out of your system. Maybe now people will be ready to, all right, now we're going to actually play real BRs in this.
yeah. So, I guess, so we had graduations to go to and stuff this weekend. Cousins were in town from South Carolina. So it was not a good weekend, of course. Of course, the one weekend the map is on the test servers, I'm not around. But if they're going to do this every weekend, they need to spin up like 3 or 4 test BR servers. They can't just have one, because I'm not sitting in a queue for 40 minutes to play on the test server. I'm sorry.
Well, and that's the thing is you would go on there and you would play. When you died, you had to wait for everyone else on that game that was already going to die.
And here's the thing.
Like, you had to wait for the game to end, and then it would put you in a queue. So you'd be waiting like 30 minutes.
Nobody had
each
weapons.
week.
So it
would come down to when
Yeah.
when
The
enough
gas.
of the airdrops landed,
Huh.
and enough people got ran over, whatever it was, that's at the point that the game would end. But you had to wait until there was enough, and the smoke started coming in enough for the people that are just running around looking at things, because all those people had to die for it to end.
So they definitely need like 3 or 4 test servers.
Green Man's saying, reduce the number of players to get them done quicker. They actually added, because I know there were a lot of people, being that there's no loot, like they can handle more players because there's no items to track. Like the server should be doing just fine with just airdrops of a couple of vehicles and players. And so, they did raise the number of players that were allowed on the server just to kind of help. But that's just that more many people to kill. So I think it kind of balanced out. It would have been probably just as fast to have less players because it may have gotten over faster. But it worked out. They should have had, as you said, more servers so that people can get in there, because it's going to be too full with one server for everybody to play.
Yeah, well, of course, if they only have one server, I will do my best to try to get on during the weekends. But like, people have got stuff going on, and
yeah,
well,
this is going to be a holiday weekend, so
well, that's the thing.
See how they do this.
I've got, I hate to say this, we're doing this show, we need to cover this stuff, but I'm not going to sit in a queue for 40 minutes to wait to play. Like come on, like I've got better shit I need to be doing besides sitting in a queue for 40 minutes. Is it a new map? Yes. Is it exciting? Yes. Do we want to talk about it on the show? Yes. But it comes down to the point where, do I really need to do this? Especially last week with no loot spawning, because I sure as hell wasn't going to win or even do anything. So because there wouldn't be anything to do. So they really just need 4 test servers so that maybe the queue is 5 minutes, which I can handle. Maybe the queue's 10 minutes, but I waited in queue for 40 minutes Saturday night.
Yeah.
And it didn't.
I think you would have been very disappointed once you got in there, just because, it was fun to run around, kind of look at some of the things, but it is still very rough. Like this is early on. There are a lot of main things, but the roads got to be straightened out, like as far as seeing them correctly. And a lot of items aren't showing up. They haven't optimized the game. That's one thing they did drive home. They haven't optimized it yet. So when you walk into a room, like things are starting to show up. Mm-hmm. All the different things in the room. It's the equivalency of you guys have heard me talk about the relevancy system a lot.
Yes.
Talking about miscreated. They pretty much haven't implemented, and it's called what, Umbra?
It's called Umbra. It's just not on. It's implemented. They just turned it on.
They haven't turned on the Umbra system, which is the equivalent of, all right, there's a room that I can't see. Therefore, don't tell me what's in that room. I don't need to have that data coming to my computer. That system being that it's turned off, you receive information from everywhere around you, regardless of whether you should be able to see it or not. And so it causes a lot of lag, or things just take time because it's having to bring everything in. Once they get that implemented, it'll really help with frame rates. It'll take a big load off of just having their servers have to send you all the information. It's how it should be as well. So eventually they'll get that turned on. It should make the frame rates go back to normal. It'll make it so that when you walk into a room, everything shows up as if it was already there, even though your computer doesn't know about it till you go in the room. And I think they've had it, but one thing they did comment on regarding our stream was they had Umbra on, but they weren't implementing it to their full ability. I think that's what they were discussing.
Let me pull that up. So the other quick thing is, like you mentioned, and I wrote this down specifically from their live stream. This was the first playable pass of the game. So this was not the final version. This was the first playable path. And so this is the thing. This was a quick comment from I don't know whose username this is, from a Daybreak developer. He says, we use Umbra in Z1, admittedly not as much as we should have. We talked about it in the Z2 as an upgraded version of Umbra that would integrate into the game. And so the thing is, they were using Umbra, but it was loading in too much. So what I would assume is they were using Umbra for certain things, but not other things. Like I would imagine, like a whole building would probably be, and all of the assets inside of it would be loading in, maybe just not the gear. But
so
now
they're
fully using Umbra.
I think now that they're doing this, they're finally probably saying, well, now that we have a lot more items and all these things, it's really important to actually use this to its full extent so that things do load properly and we can handle all these people. Because that's one thing they've really been pushing, is the optimization on this map will be a lot better. And probably part of that, not being that the map is that much better, but they're actually implementing Umbra.
I'm going to be honest. Z1 and H1Z1 doesn't, I never have any issues lagging, and I do have a pretty beefy computer, and I know there are people that do, but for the engine and all this other stuff, I can't say that the game is not pretty well optimized. It runs perfectly fine. There's a few issues with fire, but that's because of stuff they're doing. The game runs very, very well if you have a somewhat of a modern computer. If you don't, you're kind of SOL.
But now if you take a look, like if they're going to be having these many more objects, houses, all the different things around. Before you'd have, trees and some grass. Now they have a lot more objects, making the world feel more full. So they have to implement it in a better way so that they can maintain that number and the 100 players or whatever they're trying to put on a server. So.
Exactly.
But yeah, that was pretty much my experience with it. And we have our full live stream. So if you want to go check it out, we do have on our website and on YouTube a link to our full live stream that was the coverage right after the fact. So if you haven't seen very much of it, I would encourage you to go check that out, because we really do go over and show how much more content there is as far as buildings and roads and just everything, how everything is compared to the Z1 map. We show them side by side. So.
Yeah, we literally cover everything you would need to know. So go check that out. Of course, we're going to keep you up to date. Just some other quick things that we've covered in the past about the map. The water's not going to be any deeper in.
No, actually, it was. So I found a place, and I don't know if this is because they haven't fixed it yet, but there was a place where it's actually really deep, but there was a tree in the middle of the lake too.
Okay, but they said
so,
the water would not be any deep because there's no swimming. So
okay, but the thing is you go underneath of it and you just see, it's like you're walking on the ground and looking up. There's no swimming implemented, so they're gonna definitely take that out because they don't want people just hiding underneath the surface of the water.
So
and it's like when you go underneath the road, you just don't see the bottom of it. Like it looks like you're just looking up at the sky.
Yep. So there will not be any deeper water. That's
once they get the water fixed.
They said something like it's not worth our time to work on. Well, and in retrospect, it really isn't. I mean, how much are you really going to spend time swimming in the water? Like, is that really something you're going to be doing? I think it's more of a thing that people on Reddit like to complain about.
It's an aesthetic thing.
It's an aesthetic. Nobody's going to swim. Are you serious? Like, all the things you can do in this game, and you're going to sit in the water and swim? I mean, come on, give me a freaking break. So there's no deeper water.
At some point, once they get a lot of their things checked off the list, they maybe at some point be like, okay, well, let's animate and let's put the code into.
Yeah, it's just such a
to
waste.
make it so that you can swim across water.
It's just
then
useless stuff.
Then they could just shape the bottom of the water to be a little bit deeper. And, it would have some effect. But I think that's so far on their list. Like they have all these other things to do in the map without bothering with water.
Exactly. Two other quick things is that you will not be able to shoot guns over objects more, like a game where you can, like Tom Clancy's the Division, where you're hiding behind an object and shooting over it. That's going to be more of a gameplay now. Right now, when you're crouched, you really can't. Like if you're crouched inside of a house looking out of a window, you can't shoot over that. You have to stand up to have your bullets go out the window. So that's stuff they're going to work on. And the last thing is the Z2 map is going to be for the Invitational, which is September 30th through October 2nd. So they've got
that's their deadline.
They need to have a finished version of this map by like September 5th.
Because it'll be horrible if they have on their live stream like somebody running underneath of a road, and being able to hide from people and kind of sit there and wait for people to drive down that road because they're underneath the road. Like that, little things like that would really make the game look bad if people are taking advantage of weird little glitches in the map. So they're going to have to find all those things, really clean it up, and get it ready for that kind of a competitive game.
Yeah, and honestly, I thought that the H1Z1 Invitational last year was going to be kind of a disaster, and it wasn't. But this year, there is if they don't finish this map and have a really working, playable game, there is a potential for this to be an absolute train wreck. And I don't want it to be that way, but it is June 27th, and they've got like pretty much 2 months to get this whole map done. They've got pretty much till the end of August.
That with that type of deadline, like, and I think with some of the new management, they seem to do, obviously with this, it shows that when they put some pressure on and say, all right, well, we're going to do this. I mean, it's most likely what they did behind the scenes is just say, we are going to release this map at this time. Like you guys need to do everything you can to get it as close as possible, which is what they did. I mean, they put a lot of content in there in a relatively short period of time. Yes. And so now it's going to be, all right, well, you guys have this many weeks to get to where you polish out this, this part of the map, whether it's the roads, a lot of that shaping and things like that. You guys have this amount of time. And I think that's better for motivating these guys, putting some pressure, saying, well, we have a goal to reach towards. rather, because we've seen so many times in the past, they say, "Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that." When it's never really a priority, it never gets gotten to.
Yeah. Well, now
So
the
I think with
priority
them,
is the entire map.
yeah, and so now I think they're getting much better at getting these goals and saying, all right, well, we have to get this done, and it can't be swept under the rug. It can't be a later thing, because this is our game reputation on the line.
Yeah, and it's going to be on they're hosting it at TwitchCon, so Twitch is taking part in this as well. So there's not, I shouldn't say there's a lot of stuff at risk, but this is a big thing that's going on.
It would make their game look very bad if they didn't do it correctly. And definitely. And I know they don't want that. There's so many games on the market that are competitive against this type of a game. One thing like that can really turn the tide for you. And so they really need, and I think with this new map release, like it's got a lot of positive vibes, I guess you could say, for the community right now. I know it's not survival, but this is going to very much play into what survival is. So, sure, they haven't been working on survival for what we see, but this is the equivalent of working on survival. This whole map is going to be for both of them.
Exactly.
So, I think people are saying, well, okay, well, if they can polish this off enough for that competition, and then afterwards they'll consider, all right, well, that's playable ready.
Yep.
And then focus on whatever it is going to be next. Base building, I can't even imagine what it is they have next on the list as their priority. But I would assume it's going to be probably like base building or something with survival, because I know they keep saying that is a thing that is important to them.
Yeah, definitely. So go check out the H1Z or our excuse me, the Infection Podcast Z2 wrap-up show. And of course, make sure you watch the actual map reveal first. You'll miss out on a bunch of stuff. So watch the map reveal, check out the wrap-up show, and then you'll be all caught up to date with everything we know. And then obviously there's no news this week. That stuff was just at this point. We're doing this on a Monday. That stuff is just 3 days ago. So next week, next Tuesday, we will have, I would assume, much more.
Some additional. Plus, people will have an opportunity to play over the weekend.
Exactly.
That haven't had a chance to play yet, and I'm hoping that the loot spawns will be fixed for the holiday weekend, because that'll be a lot of fun for people to go in there and play. And I'm sure they'll bring up more servers.
Yes,
if they're going to have loot, I can imagine they're not bringing up 3 servers at least.
Yeah, and they said that loot thing was a last minute thing, that kind of like a gotcha last second that popped up.
Yeah, that they didn't have time to fix.
I don't know how that happens, but it happens. So there you go.
All right, so do we want to do the first game giveaway?
Yeah, let's do that
before, and then we can go over the next topic right after that. So, all right, so this is a game called Cave Story Plus. We're going to do the keyword of cave, and of course, it has to be all lowercase. So, if you just type cave, I'll type an example in chat. Type cave in chat, and then I'll go and give you guys a link as well. But this is a game that had very good reviews. It looks like a lot of fun. So anytime I see a game that says overwhelmingly positive for overall, and then recently very positive, that's a really good sign. So
yes.
if you're into the kind of a side scroller, it's a platformer, Metroidvania, which is its own category because it's like Metroid, Castlevania or something, Transylvania.
Metroid and Castlevania were both games.
Castlevania, yeah. It's
you ever played Castlevania, Brian?
I've never, no.
Oh, so I get crap for not playing and watching stupid movies.
Was it a Nintendo game?
It was Castlevania. I can't believe you've never played Castlevania.
But I didn't really have. I never had a Nintendo.
That's not true.
I had a Nintendo 64.
You had an NES.
I had a computer. No, I didn't have an NES. I never had. Well, I didn't until I was older.
Yeah. Okay.
I grew up with a computer.
All right,
all my friends had Nintendos, and I had a computer.
Yeah, look at you, hotshot.
And so, it's an indie game, but it has very good reviews. So, if you're into that kind of a game, figured we'd throw that in for our first one.
Yes. Now, by the way, games that do updates. Holy crap! We had 9 updates for Ark, 9 different versions. They went from
this
2.4.3.
This was from the 23rd, so this was within the last 5 days.
Oh, okay.
So on Thursday they released 2.43,
a huge update, by the way.
And so pretty much from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday until today,
9
these
updates.
are all the updates since then.
9 updates in 5 days. Now,
Yeah,
of course,
so-
some of them are one-liners, like fixed,
But
spelling of
they
words.
did such a major content update for the
Yeah.
243 that they were just then having to fix things, because when you change a high, I don't remember how much of the map it is, but this is a high percentage of the map. Like what, 25% plus of the map, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say.
That they change, so that, they got to go through and do some fixes. And so let's go ahead and go into some of these. And we did tease, because I did tease that some of this was going to be happening, but the Titanosaurus, which we went over, they did release that. They added in the gas masks, which will be new. They added an item called Herbivore Tasty Cakes. And so that, I think, is going to be, it's a food. And so herbivores really like it. And so maybe it'll be something that will help them with tames. I think that it actually improves the time of a tame on herbivores. So
Yeah,
we'll have to
so
take a look at
if
that
you
one.
force feed it to a tamed, actually, if you force feed it to a tamed herbivore, it recovers 500 health instantly.
So it
with a
heals
15-second
them.
delay. Yes. So it doesn't say any.
Let's see.
It doesn't
It
say
talks about
any-
spoil times in a tame dino, but it doesn't talk. So maybe it won't actually
no,
increase
but
the.
500 health though, instant. 15 seconds.
Well,
delay.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Like when you're sitting there fighting with your Rex or something, and like it's taking a massive amount of damage, there's a good chance you'll lose it. Like once it gets down to a certain point, it takes forever for it to start getting that health back. So that, this for an herbivore type, you have one that you're using that's maybe a transport mount or something, and you're worried about losing it. You keep a number of these on you. Of course, they only last in inventory 40 minutes. So this is more of if you're going to be.
But they'll last 2
doing a
hours
trek-
but they'll last 2 hours in the dino, and I assume the dino won't eat them until like you.
Yeah.
feed it
So if
to
you
it.
keep other food in there as well, I'm
Yeah.
sure it won't eat this. But this is something that maybe you're doing a trek across the map. Keep some of these in there so that you have, maybe if it falls off a ledge or something, that you're able to recover that health and you don't risk losing your dinosaur.
500
So-
health every 15 seconds. That's pretty. That's almost borderline OP if you know how to use this stuff right.
Yeah.
So pretty cool stuff there.
All right. So, and then they added the chain bola ammo. So, this is for the ballista turret.
Yep.
And so that is, I think it's something where you can pretty much snare people. Bullets where it will wrap around their legs. And so this is a good way to trap dinosaurs, much larger dinos. You can shoot it from that turret and make it so maybe even like a Quetzal, it won't be able to move. So you can tame it or work on knocking it out for a tame.
Yep.
Or like a Rex. That's a very cool tool because sometimes it's really difficult to stop them. They added retractable rope ladders, and I think a lot of this is for that new tree area with the redwoods. They have it to where you can have a ladder that will go down, make it so you can get up into the tree area, and then you can take it back up so people can't run up there when you're maybe not wanting people to come up. I guess they can still fly, but it's a nice effect. They added tree sap taps, so you can go up to some of these redwoods, put one of these in the sides, and obtain sap, which is used in crafting and things like that. They have also the tripwire thing, which we really went into, an awesome thing to notify people when your base is being raided. They added new wood and metal tree platforms. So for those huge, because they have these giant redwood trees that, I mean, when I'm talking about giant, like they're way super wide trees. You're able to build up a base that actually goes around the base of the tree, kind of like what was in the Star Wars. Was it not Wookiees? Trying to remember which ones they were, but
Come on, Star Wars expert.
I don't remember what it is. The Ewoks, sorry. So they have kind of like that similar, what they had for their trees, very similar thing that you can do in this game now. They, of course, this update was the snow extension and the redwood forest biome update. Huge overhaul that they did. They added in ruins in this game. So now that you'll be able to go and add, discover the ruins, kind of see some of the backstory, the lore that's in the game. These are spread around in a few areas. You'll see some pieces of ruins, but there's also, I know, some up in the snow area that you can go check out, and there'll be things that you can open up and discover that backstory. This is a huge thing. Ground clutter effect extended 50% farther, 20% better GPU efficiency. That's a big thing. They said bald doed's no longer invincible to tame dino melee attacks, and this is one of their animals. I think they're talking about the Doedicurus, if I remember correctly. So yeah, okay, bald Doedicurus. So the Doedicurus, when it rolls up and turns into a ball, it's no longer invincible to tame dinos melee attacks. So they can't just, because it used to be they'd roll up and you'd never be able to really kill them with a lot of things. So you can actually kill them now. They have a magnifying glass, which now displays the creature's torpor stats on wild creatures, so you can tell how close they are to being knocked out. Tribe alliances are now disabled in offline raid mode. I guess they decided it was too complex to determine if anyone in an alliance is around. So that's something that I'm sure later, as they figure that out, they'll enable it again. They made it so that you have the ability to disable tribe alliances on servers. So maybe you don't want to allow tribe alliances for people. They added vaults can no longer be dropped onto saddle platforms. So you can't haul a vault around maybe on the back of a Quetzal or on the back of a Bronto. They added, they changed some of the damage that they're doing. I mean, there's a huge list. So I don't know if I want to go too much into more. Here's one thing that's big though. They added 33% rendering gains with any translucent rendering. So like that's the particles of greenhouse windows, anything you can see through. They added a 33% more, well, I guess 33% more efficient. So that's one huge thing they did, and they're doing that constantly. So that's the main things of the 243 patch. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I'm missing, but I think that was the main.
No, there's a whole lot of stuff in here we're starting to get to this point with Ark, like we do with a lot of other games, where so many of the things are like game any values, like stuff that's totally irrelevant.
We don't need to go over all of those. I mean, that matters for a person who's running a server, maybe, but for most people that doesn't matter. Exactly.
So other than that, they did a few little upgrades therefore after. So on the same day, 243.1 fixed a server crash associated with dino baby birth. So if you were, hatching a dinosaur or whatever, you'd have that issue. And then it also fixed the Survive the Ark tripwire alarms and birth notifications to properly work. So, by the way, we've talked about those in the past. Those are game changers, in my opinion, those notifications. Yeah. You're going to be able to do some crazy cool stuff with that. On the same day, again, 243.2 fixed the chemistry bench not properly containing absorbent substrate Ingram. That required a server update as well. And then on 243.3, which was the next day, so this is day after the big 243.0 patch, they fixed swamp water creatures not spawning. Those spawns weren't working. And this next one is actually pretty interesting. This forced respawn all wild dinos one time. So respawn every single wild dinosaur for servers and single player to help clear up dinos that were stuck under the ground. Which
probably because of the new map.
Yeah, stuff was getting stuck under.
But probably when they redid it, some things may have been underneath the ground because of different heights. So I would assume those ones would have dropped down. So now they were saying just wipe them all once, so everything spawns above the ground one time.
Yep, and then the auto turrets will now properly target and shoot dino platforms. There's a possible fix potential Linux server performance issue. So you Linux people, that's great. And then added the Titanosaurus colorization. So, or tintablation. So you can now you should now be able to tint the color of the Titanosaurus, which is our favorite term there. 243.4. This is the same day on the 24th. Fixed some pillar building issues. You couldn't place pillars directly on platform saddles or rafts, which is an issue because you're supposed to be able to build on those. Fixed an issue of some more swamp fevers. If you had just more stuff going on with the swamps, with some of the spawns going on there. fixed an issue where some swamp water dino spawners weren't active, so that was like the second or third time they'd fixed that. And then fixed some issues where some servers or clients were stalling out, where you were just kind of sitting in a loop and nothing was happening. And that's up to 243.4. Let's see.
So 243.5, they fixed the beaver dams. I guess they weren't spawning correctly. They fixed manta taming. They fixed obelisk terminal activation collision. And they fixed the server primitive Ingrams any to contain rope ladders, because primitive would consider rope ladders as something that could go on those servers. 243.6, they properly added 2 more max levels to the players and the dinos. So that's one thing I'll have to consider with our new server. Do we want to allow even higher level dinos? Because the version that's there right now, I think 120 is the max level dino. So they've added it so players can go higher and dinos can go higher. They fixed long-standing multiplayer issue where weapons often don't correctly auto-reload when switching them if they were previously out of ammo. They fixed an issue where dinos could not... they could get stuck when a fleeing state, forever. So they'd start fleeing and maybe they'd get stuck in a rock or something and they just constantly never quit fleeing. They improved the terror bird spawns because there were too many of them. And also the tree platforms now require holding demolish option for 6 seconds to activate the demolish option, because demolishing tree platforms can instantly take down an entire tree base. If, it should be more time consuming to ensure that that's the desired selection, because you may be like, oh, I want to, destroy this door. And you don't realize you're actually picking the floor. And then your whole tree base would just fall to the ground and go away. So that was 243.6. 243.7, they did a quick fixed an issue with erroneous demolition of snapped pillars. 243.8, they fixed a long-standing issue with platform saddle structures snapping. Because the snapping too with the pillars wasn't reliable enough. They fixed an issue with creating side snapping floating pillars. And then for the final one, 243.9, which is the final one for this series, tomorrow they should be having a new 244 patch. So they're fixing the significant performance issues with dual core CPUs. And this affects not only the servers but and single player mode. So this is something that even if you have a dual core server, maybe you're running on an old computer for a couple of friends, this will help that. And they fixed the max XP limit on dedicated servers. So because that had been adjusted and it must not have adjusted correctly.
Yeah. So that dual core thing is great for people that are... Ark is always a game that you needed a pretty beefy computer to
but if you are trying to run it on a dual core system.
Yeah, some type of... what was... an Intel... Anything before the i3 was dual core, just dual core, so without hyper-threading. So there you go.
So one thing in the upcoming, the pretty much the big news of what's going to be happening tomorrow is they are implementing the Total Conversion Primitive Plus mod that's going to be in there. That's where everything is considered primitive. Stone buildings, things made out of wood, they're not going to be having metal structures and things like that. They're adding a couple new dinosaurs. They're adding the fishing mechanics. So you can have a fishing rod and fish for things.
That's pretty sweet.
Yep. And then they're adding explorer notes, which is going to be unfolding a lot of the lore that's in this game.
Big fan
and that's the main thing. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see as they go. This should be tomorrow that they release this for 244. So we'll be talking more about it next week and whatever things they fix from that.
Yeah. Now, the other thing is that Primitive Plus is that was a player created mod that won a contest, and now Ark has taken it, they've optimized it, completed it, and packaged it as free DLC for Ark Survival Evolved. So that
just like the center and these other ones.
Well, the center they made the center.
Actually, he's right. I'm wrong. This is not tomorrow. This is July 28th, so it's a month away.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they're going to be. Man, I can imagine them waiting a month on this, being that they're already at 243.9. Within, we'll see.
Well, the shows will be very short if there's no Ark news for the next month.
Yeah, and they've been putting these ETAs out a little farther. I think they're giving themselves a little bit of room. Thanks for catching that, JD. So this is actually July 28th. I was just looking at the 28th as tomorrow. So yeah, it's going to be a little less than a month probably for the Primitive Plus, but they will be continuing to work on. they're not going to sit around for a month and not actually put out updates for this game. I mean, it's impossible for them to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the longest we've gone is like a week with one update, but we've always said we've had updates every other time, no matter what.
One thing that for me is cool, they're going to be doing an integrated server mod downloader updater, because that's been something that I've run a script to do.
Okay.
That's totally server side, but when there's mods, it's always been a pain to keep those things up to date correctly.
Yeah.
So they're actually implementing something that connects to, because those are all managed on Steam anyways.
Yeah.
So it's going to connect and keep those up to date. So that helps, because if I have a mod on the server that I'm running at one version and I don't update it, someone else automatically updates their mod on Steam when they launch Steam.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they can't load into the server. So this is something that they're dealing with, and I would be surprised if they waited a month to do that if it's ready to go.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's have people type in just one more time. Please type cave, because I've seen people drop in and out, and it's something weird. I got to figure out this. I don't know if it's Twitch or if it's my plugin, but just type cave one more time to make sure you're into the contest, because I see that the game has, or the list of people in the thing has gone down.
Gotcha.
So it has to be all lowercase, just cave.
Cave.
Then we'll do a roll here in just a minute.
Did you end up buying anything on the Steam sale? Did you purchase anything yet?
I bought one little game, 35 millimeter.
Oh,
and
okay.
it's just some little indie game that was made by like one guy.
Oh, okay, neat.
And I wanted to see, because I mean, one guy makes a game and it looked like it was done fairly well for being, one guy making it. So instead I just bought that. It was like $2 or $3. I don't know. I may get something else, but that I just wanted to get it because I wanted to see what he was able to accomplish with one person.
Yeah,
because it looked like it was made pretty well. So, well, I'll play it through. I don't know if I'll play it through this week, but eventually here I'll play it.
You have to play it through this week.
It's
important. It's important research for the show. So,
yeah,
there you go. All right.
Ready
to roll on that?
Yes, and I see everybody does capital letters and all kinds of variations.
Whatever.
we'll just go with it. All right. So the winner for this one it's Jonesy.
Ah, jeez.
Is that Sean or something?
No, it's one of Sean's friends.
One of Sean's friends.
Awful person to win this game. Not a friend of the show.
No.
So that is all of the ARC news. Now we've had a lot of people bugging us, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but a lot of people bugging us about Miscreated. Hey, have you tried Miscreated yet? I have not tried Miscreated. I actually went through. Yes. Well, no, I've tried Miscreated, but did you try the 36 yet?
Yes.
Okay, so real quick, I downloaded like all of these survival games. I downloaded this weekend. I downloaded 7 Days to Die because I had them all. I just didn't have any of them downloaded. I downloaded 7 Days to Die. I downloaded Miscreated.
You just bought it. You just bought the 7 Days to Die, right?
No, I already had 7 Days to Die.
Okay, you had it. Okay.
But I had downloaded that. I downloaded Rust. I downloaded Miscreated. I downloaded every survival game that we talk about that I own. I downloaded this week, so I've got all of them now, and I'll be able to.
And that's why you still have no hard drive space.
I have plenty of hard drive space.
Okay.
But yeah, so I've got all those games downloaded now. I did not play Miscreated patch 36 yet, but Brian did. He's the expert in the relevance system, and he's been talking about it on the show for months now. So what do we got here, Brian? What's going on?
All right. So for Miscreated, first of all, they put out a patch, and this is only on the experimental server. So similar to what H1Z1 did with their new map, this is running on one test server. So you can go in there and actually, I think they have it.
Yeah, but that's a little bit different because you have to right click on the game, go to properties, and click experimental build.
I think there's betas, and then if you choose the drop down, you choose experimental.
Like
it'll
DayZ.
Download a large patch, like a 4 GB patch. And so this is patch number 36 experimental. We were talking about possibly doing Miscreated for this upcoming week, but I figured if we wait one more week, it may be live. Yeah. And so I figured we probably don't want to risk them like having the game, the experimental server offline or something for our Friday night game night. So we'll just wait. They should roll it out here pretty soon because it did look pretty close to ready.
Yeah.
So in this, they added the new relevance system. So this is a huge change. CryEngine was not made to do this. CryEngine was a single player, is originally made on a single player type of a game focus. And they've ended up going through and putting in the code to really handle a lot of players online. So just like Umbra, this will take a look and see, do you need to know, can you see this person? Is this person relevant to you? I mean, that's why they call it relevance. Let's say somebody's on the other side of the map. If you don't need to know that they're there, the server won't tell you that they're there. Once you come into range of something, then it starts transmitting data. The reason this is incredibly important is when you're transmitting for, let's say, 20, 30 people, the coordinates of where they're at all times, you're transmitting to every single person, every item that they're carrying, everything that they're seeing. Like that creates a huge amount of server bandwidth. And not only for the server, but then that server is sending all the data to every single player at the same time. So you could easily eat up a 100 megabit internet connection for everyone, on a server especially. And then, people would be using their full amount of bandwidth just to play this game with a decent number of players. So if you went in and play with the relevance system now, you can play easily on like maybe a 5 megabit internet connection, even on a pretty full server, and you're not going to have that lag. I know there was one person, Bam Bam, he would try to play and he didn't have great internet and he would stream this game a lot. Well, he had, remember when they were doing the game giveaways?
Yeah.
The problem is everybody would get on the server he was on, and he had a really poor internet connection. It would sit there and start to lag out. So this is something that now a player like him, even if you have a 7 megabit DSL connection or something, you'll be able to play this game now and not be affected by having a 30, 40, 50 players online at one time.
This is like in my opinion, and I think you'd agree with me, and this is like one of the reasons that Miscreated has yet to really do anything at all, because it's impossible.
Everything ties back to the relevant system.
Yeah.
Because of this limitation, they didn't have storage in the game. Because if you had storage, everything that was in that box would have to be transmitted to everybody at all times. So the more things that they placed in the map that had to be sent to all the players, that would just create more and more lag. It actually would multiply. It's not like it just adds a little bit for each item. Yeah. It actually would multiply the amount of bandwidth needed.
Just think about how quickly stuff multiplies. I mean,
if you're a nerd, really super nerds, it's like a mesh network.
Exactly.
Everything is connecting together at one time.
It's actually a really good analogy.
Yeah, a mesh network connects everyone at once, and that's how it was treating it without the relevance system. If you want to talk in computer terms, we'll just talk computers for a minute. This is more like a switch. A switch on a network looks at the ports and only sends the data to the one person that it needs to go to. Yep. That's exactly what this is doing. If you take a look at technology back when it went from hubs to switches, that's what this is. Like they're going from that stage to that stage, and it opens up the world for them to what they can do with this. So this makes it so they can have player storage. When you kill something, let's say you go kill a zombie. Now the zombie might have loot on them that you can actually take. Let's say you find a backpack or you find some pants on the ground. You can go loot those things, and they may have things in them. It's more real how things would be. Like if you're running around the world, you're not always going to find empty backpacks. No. Maybe somebody died and their backpack is dropped there. You can put on the backpack and there might be some stuff in there. So, this gives you a reason. Like you can put a storage chest in a base now. That's a big thing, because what's the point of having a base if you don't have anything to protect?
Bases were unbelievably useless. There was no point of even wasting your time making them, because there's nothing to do in them. The whole point of a base is to be able to store stuff and hang out and be safe, but you couldn't store anything, so it didn't really matter.
And it's really difficult to build a base when you can't actually store materials.
Yeah, exactly.
So this really opens that up, and it reduces the amount of CPU usage, the amount of bandwidth usage. So this just totally, and like when I played it, it felt so snappy to what I was used to. Because before it always kind of felt a little delayed. Like I'm running around and everything was responding instantly. So that was a big thing for this. You can now reload your weapon, which wasn't happening before because it was considered in a way storage, having bullets in a clip. It would be really difficult to sit there and reload your gun. And so now you can press R, it will reload your weapon with whatever ammo you have in your bag. And then they tweak some, like animations and sounds and things like that for the reloading process. And they have an incapacitation system to where now you can tie up players with duct tape. So it, kind of like with the handcuffs and everything, which you never really see handcuffs anymore in H1Z1. But you have duct tape that you can go behind somebody and tie them up, capture them, and make them walk around to your base or do whatever you want to do.
Stupid RP stuff that happens in these survival games constantly.
Yep. So that's something they implemented. Tents is another thing they implemented. Tents are a portable form of storage in a way. It's kind of like a portable base. So you can run around if you find a tent in the world. There is storage space that you can put things in that tent, but you can also pack it up, put it in your backpack, and carry it with you to have somewhere else. So that's something pretty cool that was limited before, because what would be the point of the base? Other than storage, what would be the point of a tent? Because you don't really sleep in the game. When you log out, you disappear from the world.
Yep.
They added on here, so you can no longer remove attachments from another player's weapon while he's holding it. I guess that was a bug. You could go up to somebody and steal the attachment off their gun. I guess they figured that wasn't very nice. They did fix like the out of ammo sounds, so you can tell it wouldn't click correctly, telling you you're out of ammo. They adjusted a lot of the speeds of your gun, your attacks for arrows and hatchets and things like that. They've updated a lot of animations. They added a huge city. Now this, we're all, really happy with what the new map has in H1Z1.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the city inside of Miscreated,
don't do it, Brian.
I'm not going negative with it. It's more what you would see on like the Division. That the way that it's all laid out, it would remind you more of the Division, as far as the way that the city looks. They did an excellent job, and what's amazing is that this team that makes Miscreated is pretty much one guy that is designing those buildings. So they've got one guy on their team that's designing all these things. It's incredible what they've been able to accomplish with that. But they've made a wonderful city. It looks really nice. Not all just like in H1Z1, not all the buildings you can go into yet. Now they're treating it like a radiation zone. So up in the middle, there's a part of the radiation zone that's been cleared. So you go up and you can head up into that part of the map. So they'll continue expanding up in that way. They're only using a portion of their map currently. I guess H1Z1 was a total revamp of the whole map. They're just adding a section, but they did an excellent job with it.
They've got those like little close-offs. Like there'll be like an overpass, and there's just like a bunch of debris or something in there blocking it off, and the hill's too steep for you to run up. So they've got, and obviously they're expanding the map. And they are expanding it up
north, and so this kind of goes up into one little area. Like there's still radiation to the right and left on that part of the map. So they're just going to doing one little section up right now. You can now add campfires. Campfire is something new.
Nice.
And I'm trying to think of what the final, if there's anything else. I mean, they did adjust the UIs and the vehicles and the AI. Like they've done. This was a pretty major update. They added in the fog patterns and mist. So this is on the experimental. I mean, check it out if you're interested in this at all, or you could wait a week, 2 weeks maybe when it seems to, because it is pretty close to stable right now. It seemed to be working very well. I'm sure they're going to roll this out in the regular servers. We'll definitely do this as a game night and, get a group together and we can all go check out the new city and just have some fun. Maybe try to build a base now that there's actually a reason to.
Yeah. So this is out. You can get that. You just have to go through Steam and click on beta and get this experimental update.
And it'll download it instantly, and you should be able to go in and you'll see the test servers listed there. I think they have 3 test servers total.
Isn't that neat? That's a good idea. Yeah. So that's in the game now. You played it, and what is the
verdict.
Yeah, exactly. What's the if there is a? I mean, here's the thing. It's a test server. I mean, yeah. What is it?
The zombies, man. The thing about Miscreated is the zombies are very hard. So we got up in the city, and I all of a sudden got attacked by like 3 zombies. We were just kind of running around and looking, and we were able to find guns and everything was going good. And then all of a sudden these zombies started attacking us, and they killed me. And I had Matt with me, and he got killed by, there was like still like 4 zombies left. And so they pretty much wiped us out, and that was it for our test. So, but it did run, like as far as running around and doing everything, it ran beautifully. So I would encourage you to go check it out and at least run around for a bit and just kind of see how it runs on your system now. So you can, you may not want to go and build a base and start using the storage, but at least you can see the huge performance increases that they put into this one.
Yeah, there you go. So that's Miscreated. Cool stuff coming from them. Make sure you follow them. What is their Twitter? Because they're always retweeting stuff. It's at Miscreated Game, because their developers are always tweeting pictures of roads, cities, whatever else.
Yep. And they did a pretty good job of not really showing too much of the city coming up on this until they did a live stream showing it off. And so if you go in there, they did show like, oh, hey, look, we did this really good job of giving the roads some depth, and they have some beautiful scenes in the game. Like the screenshots that people take in this game are wonderful because they did such a good job of level design here.
Yeah, definitely. So make sure you follow. It's at Miscreated Game on Twitter. You can keep up to date with all the stuff that they've got going on.
Now let's see. I didn't see. As far as Rust, they put out a patch here. I don't know. Did you go over how much they did though?
So there was just a few things I wanted to highlight, and I don't want to cover the whole thing. All right. But the first, this one is kind of this is a gamer issue that we hear from time to time in motion blur in games.
It always makes me sick.
Yeah, so that's
usually turn it off.
That's the thing. So the motion blur has been added back to Rust, and you can see these 2 images. The one on the left is without the motion blur, which I think looks great. It's nice and clear. You can see all the shrapnel, but the one on the right is with the motion blur. And I hate motion blur.
I always get dizzy with motion blur. I'll be playing and it just gives me a headache.
It's just disorienting, and you can't really follow what's going on. So they've re-added motion blur. The main menu has been altered slightly to help Lone Wolves on pre-release. And they say it looks a little less terrible. The name tags, they've worked on some of that stuff, and then they made some changes.
It makes it shows up better at night.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You can actually see a name tag at
then
night.
they made some changes to the crafting menu and ownership and so on and so forth. But that motion blur thing that's always a tough thing. And then what he says here, this is Gary Newman, says motion blur is back. Some people hate it, some people love it, especially Lone Wolves. Either way, it's an option to turn off if you don't like it. There you go.
Yeah,
I just don't like motion blur.
Yeah, I mean,
DayZ has movement blur when you move. Turn that slider all the way down because you're turning your head, and it's. I get that. I guess I get that's how real life is. Like if you fling your head around really quick, there's motion blur.
Let my eyes do it. Like
it's disorienting. Like you can't see, especially in a survival game. You can't see what's going on because everything is all blurry. So I like that it's an option.
And one funny thing about this game is like the armor that they make in this is very realistic as far as like if you were to find a pot and like a pan or a pot and use that as armor and just kind of piecing, like if you go down towards the bottom, you can see kind of their concept armor.
Yes.
I mean, just looking at this, like it's funny the stuff that you'll see inside of Rust because they just take some of the weirdest little outfits.
It looks like a trash robot.
Yep. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you find in here. I always find that funny because most places will really polish it. But like if you were to make your own armor, I guess this is what it would look like.
Yeah, realistically, if there was an apocalypse, you'd literally have like cookie sheets and pizza trays strapped to the front of you. I mean, yeah, and then a pot on your
I think
head.
it's funny how
A Paula
these guys-
Dean pot on your head as a helmet, you know?
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I like how they do that in here. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember
we
the
need
first time that I went against somebody and I got killed by some like piece of scrap metal attached to a wood stick. You know, they do a good job of keeping it real.
We need to, now that I have this, I need to get it in play. Rust is, again, one of those games like Ark that is very, very hard to play alone.
You have to dedicate to it.
I've played Ark before. Not Ark. Yes, I played Ark before. I played Rust before. I've
never gotten really far in Rust, though.
No, I was introduced to it by a friend, but it wasn't... you couldn't do anything unless you're playing and you have a bunch of people to play with, so that was an issue.
So, Lifeless is a game that I'm keeping my eye on. I haven't purchased it yet, but they did put out a new patch. This is on the 23rd, so it was this past week. They went through and did. I mean, this is a very new game, and they're still developing it, definitely. So they went through and did a number of bug fixes. They added some new weapons, and this is something else that's pretty much what we were just saying. They take real world items. I mean, if you look at one of these weapons, it's pretty much a stick that they've attached a fire extinguisher to, and that's like a club. You take a saw and you attach it to a stick, and that's another weapon. And then frying pan and a pipe that would be in plumbing. They've added just some of those things to kind of give you that real feel of in a post-apocalyptic world, what would everything look like around you?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what it would come down to. So they also did a number of performance tweaks. They're finding what's causing memory leaks. What is causing their game to crash or to slow down. So they're doing this to help get people some better frames per second. So this is a game that I'm sure we'll cover into the future. This is patch 0.6.5. They're calling it Coghammer.
Nice. Now, you said you're following it. Do you have it?
I don't have it yet.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So this is one that we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it unfolds. It's kind of up in the air. I always like to wait to see how well a game does before I buy, especially when they're not selling it for super cheap. So one thing they did is that they did about 1 gigabyte worth of texture optimizations. So they're really going through and making the game, because you'll probably get a lot of things that weren't optimized when you first release it. And you're like, oh, well, this image doesn't need to be this big, or we don't need this. We're not using it.
Yeah.
So they're doing a lot of things to kind of make the game perform better. And it's still in alpha. So it'll continue to grow here. And we'll see if it takes off and people are like, hey, this is an awesome game, I'll definitely get it. But it's not even released yet. Like, it's officially not released. This is for people that you can buy it, but it's actually, no, it was released on the 16th, but it's not, it's early access. You're going to be seeing all these fixes and tests as it goes along, just like with these other games we play.
Yeah, definitely. So that is, that's Lifeless. Now, the next thing is a game that we talked about a while ago, and we've referenced, but we had kind of a lull.
Yeah.
And that is Hide and Hold Out, H2O, Waterworld, aka Waterworld. It is on sale for the Steam Summer Sale. It's not a great deal, in my opinion. It's 20% off. The game is normally $18. It's on sale for $14.39.
Yeah.
But so this is the first time that we've had a news update for the game since May 12th.
Yep.
And this is the first update. We went from we were at 0.1.74C on May 12th, and now we are just up to 0.75. So we've just jumped 0.0001 up. And I want to be careful here, but this is what it says. It says, we'd like to apologize for the long silence since we updated you last. It's been pretty busy for us as we've had to sort out some things in our personal lives as well as in our game. I can get that, and I respect that.
It's a 2-person team, so
I get that. But
let's say one person has something happen in their life. Like, it's not like, say with Daybreak, you're like, oh, okay, one person is taking a hiatus. Have everyone else kind of pick up for that person.
Yeah, and I get that, and I don't want to give them crap for that, but you can't have this game out, and you did an update in May 12th, and now you're doing your next update, June 27th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I when I look at buying a game, all of these alpha games end up falling short because their development gets lost.
Now with this, I mean, one thing they are doing is adding a new map expansion to this.
Yeah.
So, that could be a bigger update that if they do it right, it'll make up for, in a lot of people's minds, it'll make up for the delay. Just like a lot of people are now willing to give H1Z1 a little bit of slack because like, oh, look at all the stuff they were doing when they weren't telling us. So they're going to be coming out with a bigger update here soon. This will be update 0.1.75, as you said. And hopefully, if they make, because I know they're trying to put in a lot of expansions for the map, make it easier to play. Because, of course, they're changing things and coming up with figuring out how people play the game. So they're trying to adjust the map to kind of match that. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll have to see, if this is something where now there's a month between this update, and them saying anything about the next one.
But here's the thing, this isn't even an update. They didn't do anything. This is just a stat. Yeah. They haven't done anything.
But at least they're saying, hey, we realize you haven't heard from us, but this is what we're going to be doing. They do have a Trello also to where you can kind of closely track, what they're looking at implementing into the game.
Yeah, exactly. So you can follow up on their Trello, but I have an issue when a game is 20% off. It's still expensive.
So one thing they did say though is the 0.1.75 did not pass the quality assurance process. So the next version is going to be 1.76.
Yeah.
And they're looking at doing that on June 29th, so it should be in the next 2 days.
You'd think so. So we can just hope and wait, but that's a.
So yeah.
Yeah, I have an issue with, I have an issue buying a game that is not being developed up to a point.
That's kind of the gamble when you buy an early access game.
Yeah.
Is you never know how far the development teams, like Ark, if you bought that originally, like you definitely got your money out of it.
Oh yeah.
You take a look at Ark and it's like, man, the amount of updates and changes and how much time they're putting into this, worth whatever you paid for it. You'll have another game to where, okay, let's take, for instance, the Black Death. The Black Death puts out updates and it's like, well, I'll go in there and play it and I don't really notice anything different in the game.
Yeah.
Like, whatever they added has not fixed the core gameplay.
Exactly.
It's like, well, am I ever really going to get my money out of that game? All I've done is run around and deal with bugs. I can't even find what you're supposed to do in the game really that makes any sense. So, it is a gamble. You never know. Like I bought the Black Death, probably I think day one when it was released. Am I ever going to play it to where anything other than just running around and see if it's still broken? Maybe not. But it may be that 6 months from now it turns around and, man, this is an awesome game. But it may never do that.
Exactly. So it's kind of a gamble, but for $15, I would strongly, at this point, recommend not getting this game because there's just, you're not. I don't want to buy into a $15 game and then there's essentially 2 months between updates. That's a big deal breaker for me. So
yeah,
keep your eye out
when
you're doing that.
That's something the world they'll have to make up for it. If they can come out with the map and it seems to be a huge improvement. And then also they can turn around and continuously add content. But, hopefully they'll make enough from this summer sale, that'll kind of fund their development to where they, money's a good motivator.
They're like, money is the universal motivator. I mean, that's...
Yep. And to where they're like, okay, we need to continue this and then, start seeing that success. And maybe perhaps the game didn't release as big as they were hoping it would. And it's like, okay, well, it's hard to have the motivation to work on this when it doesn't do as well as you're hoping to, for it to do.
Yeah,
so,
and I think people can line up with that and understand.
Yeah, so I mean, the Steam Summer Sale could, for some of these games, really be a big thing. If you get enough people buying it and kind of that fresh, people are like, hey, I want to play this game. This looks fun. That's a good motivator.
Yeah,
for
and it kind of sucks. Since they're a small team and they're probably not making any money on the game to start, I can see why they didn't discount it more. But having it on sale for $10 or something like that I think would have helped as well. But
Yeah.
obviously you have to pay yourself at some point. So.
Yep. Yeah, you can't work on it free forever.
No, exactly. So there you go.
All right. So another one we have is The Long Dark. This is one that I've been following.
Yes,
They
it
put
is.
out a number of patches right here in a row. So I was just going to go over, kind of get us current on this.
Yeah.
On the June 23rd, so this was in the past week, they added some new languages to the game. So you can choose like French, Swedish, Korean, a number of different languages. They added so that the snow shelter can now be crafted and deployed from the radial menu. So if it's really cold, this game is all about survival. I mean, it's very much a survival game. Let's say you're trying to get from this cabin and you're leaving a cabin and it's snowing outside. It's a really big risk to do that because you don't know if you're going to make it and find another building to get into before you freeze to death. So they've made these portable little shelters that you can do to kind of protect yourself in the cold, so you have the ability to warm yourself up and survive a little bit. They did the first pass on the survival skills system. Very much the game right now is going to have a story mode to it. It's going to have, right now it's very much a just, you start in the middle of nowhere, you don't really know what's going on, and you just see how long you can survive. They're going to be adding kind of like a single player story mode that really takes you through what's going on in the game, but they haven't added that yet. So they're adding skills for like fire starting, cooking, harvesting from carcasses, so like meat, ice fishing, having a rifle type of firearm for hunting. They're also going to add like research books throughout the world so that you have the ability to learn new skills. So you can find these little books around and learn how to do new things. They're adding badges pretty much for accomplishments. So like Snow Walker, Efficient Machine. Like if you do things in game, it'll give you, I don't know if they're Steam achievements, but achievements in game. They've added a nomad challenge. So if you can survive 3 days in each of the 15 different locations in the world, you win the challenge. They're just doing different challenges, whether they're with surviving through snowstorms or whatever it is. They're adding that to the game. They're adding an almanac feature, so that's going to be a new element to the game. They've just gone through and fixed a lot of UI things. Like this game is pretty good, but it has a limited amount of replay value at the moment because you're pretty much just there, and then you're seeing how long you could survive before you die. There's not really a goal in front of you other than, well, maybe I can go find some more food. Eventually you will run out of food in this game. You'll run out of maybe firewood, whatever to keep you alive. I think they're starting to put in the things that keep this going. And so that's pretty much, the June 23rd patch. And then of course, after all these major changes, they had some small patches that were fixing bugs, just fixing text in the game. And that was on the 24th, June 24th. And then June 25th, they had another bug fix patch, and that makes us current. So that's pretty much this week. They've really been going through and adding extra little goals in the game, the whole skill system. So I'm gonna have to log in again and play some and just gonna check out some of this out. This is in line to be a very fun game to play.
It is. I see this like a Firewatch.
Yeah, it's a very similar concept.
Yeah. Now, by the way, Firewatch, which I think the internet hated, I really enjoyed it. It was $20.
The amount I played, it was a fun.
Did you finish it?
I didn't. No, I haven't finished it yet.
But they, it was $20 or $25. I'm leaning on the side of $20, and it was like a 7 or 8 hour game, and
Yeah.
It's
like watching a movie. I mean, if you think of it, it's an interactive movie.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. The art style was fantastic.
The story was really good.
Story is very, very good. You totally get involved in that story. I can already see a Firewatch 2 possibly, just kind of playing off of the same premise.
Yeah.
But this game is kind of like Firewatch. You play it. I'm tempted to go back and play it again because you totally decide the thing.
The outcome.
Yeah, exactly. When I played it, I kind of followed the story. If it was like, the ranger calls and said, don't go any farther up that path, I wouldn't. But you could, and then the whole, it's the same outcome at the end, but how you play through the story changes. So this game's kind of the same thing. So
It's kind of similar to the Walking Dead Telltale series. They did a really good job of, as you go through that, you feel like your decisions actually make a difference. Like the characters that maybe die or what you have through the thing will change, and it will slightly change the story through, but it's still going to pretty much end up in the same place. But you really do feel like, oh man, I'm making a big decision here. You have the choice: do I save this person or do I save this person? And it makes the game to where you get totally invested in it. It makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
that's that. Now, do we want to announce the game giveaway? And then
so let's go ahead and do. Let me get my keyword in here, and then I'll type it in chat. And this is actually going to be 3 different games. Being that all the games are so cheap right now, I feel bad.
Giving away 3 games. I was trying to follow your notes here. I didn't know what the hell was going on in here.
Yeah, those are three games in one pack. So the keyword will be the typed out 3. So 3, not the number 3. So this is going to be Metro 2033, Risen, and the Sacred Citadel. And I will copy all 3. Those are the 3 different Steam games that'll be included in this. So if you type 3 in chat, this will get you entered into this. And I mean, they're not expensive games, but they're all pretty well rated.
Metro 2033 is an A-list game. I mean, that's a So there you go. All right. Well, then I guess while you guys are entering 3 in chat, I'll jump into current players. So H1Z1 combined. This is Just Survive and King of the Kill. Currently playing those. This does not include test servers, by the way, and I didn't. So this is just the live stable versions. Currently playing that 11,313. The 24-hour peak for that is 15,546, and the 7-day peak 16,079. This is Just Survive by itself. Currently playing that 3,005. The 24-hour peak is up to 4,087, and the 7-day peak 4,262. These numbers are up a little bit. not anything to write home about, but we'd constantly seen a downtick in numbers. It would be 4,500 one week, then 4,360 the next week, then 4,100 the next week, then 3,700, just constantly going down and down. But this actually ticked up a little bit. I don't know if that was because people were playing on the test servers.
Maybe people are feeling hope now that there's going to be something new because this new map will come to Just Survive.
Yeah,
so maybe
exactly.
They're getting themselves back into it.
I think maybe a lot of people heard H1Z1's. People that bought H1Z1 months ago, it was back in the news. Throw air quotes around the word news, but maybe that got them back up and playing this. Now, of course, there was Just Survive, but nevertheless. Now, King of the Kill numbers were pretty strong on this, too. Currently playing that 8,258. The 24-hour peak for that is 11,459, and the 7-day peak, 11,817. I would assume people are playing this to kind of hone in on their skills a little bit and be able to jump out on Z2.
Probably because they're getting motivated. And I found myself playing
a lot, Brian. You were playing a lot.
A decent amount recently. Yeah. I mean, I just, I've not been playing like all night, but I'll just go in there and play a game here and there.
We played a few games. It didn't end well, but we played a few games.
Yeah, just to kind of get it, it is a fun game. And
it's an arcadey. It's like you die, you re-queue back up, and you're back in. I mean, it's a very unique thing that they've created, and I have no issues with it. Yeah, there's
just go in there and have some fun.
Yeah. Now, Ark, of course, numbers as strong as always. Currently playing that 42,384 people. The 24-hour peak for that is 62,648, and the 70 peak 71,653.
Probably a lot of people checking out the new map and content.
Yes, definitely. And I would imagine the numbers I would assume the numbers may be even higher next week.
Maybe, especially with the holiday weekend, you have a lot of people that have the weekend off, and they're going to play some games.
Definitely. Now, Rust is a game I purchased it on the Steam sale, and I'd recommend it as well for $10. Currently playing that 22,313. The 24-hour peak for that 37,849, and the 7-day peak just shy of 40,000 at 39,552. Now, the game everybody's been waiting for, Miscreated. Currently playing that 237 people. The 24-hour peak for that 356, players, and the 7 to peak 369. Now,
which is slightly up.
It is slightly up, but this is where we have the issue that we have here, Brian. We talked about this last week, that they really need to go out there and have a great sale and sell a crap ton of copies of this game. And
to build up the audience.
To build up the audience and build up the hype. They did put the game on sale. It is 50% off. It is $10, which is a good deal.
I mean, it is worth it, yeah.
It is, but it's just...
But they almost should have gone with a...
$5.
Yeah,
it's not low enough.
Let's sell a ton of copies for $5. Let's get everybody into this, and then roll out the... Well, I mean, would have been nice is if they could roll out the new server software.
Yeah.
They almost have to be careful, because you get too many people playing, their servers can't handle it. You know, I mean, honestly, the servers will not handle if they were all full. Like, it'd be so much bandwidth. Maybe they're not wanting to get a giveaway. I wish they could have gotten this new update to the relevance system out and then practically given the game away to get people in there and say, hey, look at all the stuff you can get people building bases, get people playing, so that's the first experience that they have.
Yeah. Now, so I wrote this number down last week. 181,126. Now, of course, this is coming from Steam Spy. This is not directly from Steam. Well, it is directly from Steam, but it's not. They're not. I don't think they're Steam official numbers. You can turn Steam Spy off, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But currently, it says the current owners are 181,775. So does that mean that 600 people bought this game for $10? Or were the numbers just totally off? Because I really would hope if they only sell 1,000 copies of this game during the Steam sale, that's a failure. There's no other word to use, but it's an absolute and utter failure. I mean, they need
they should have
500,000 people playing
sale.
it. They need 500,000 owners on this game.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I just don't know. I mean, I don't understand how they deal with everything. They are putting out good content. Their game's good, but they really need to get the number of players up so that people start talking about this game more. It's a very small core of us that really are enthusiastic about this game because we see what it can be.
Yeah.
But the thing is they got to turn around, get the game in the hands of players. What loss is it to them? Because people aren't playing on the servers, really. People are buying the game and not playing it. Well, what's the loss to them to get, 5,000 plus people playing this game? It's just going to make more people enjoy the experience because you're actually going to run into them.
Yeah. No,
Stairwave says 0 PR. Well, and that's part of it is they need.
But they are doing
to get people playing this.
They are doing PR. I mean, they're
minimal PR.
No, yeah, but they're doing live streams. They're tweeting out pictures of stuff they're working on. The issue is nobody knows what Miscreated can do, and it's just here's the thing: if you've never heard of a game before, $10, you're not buying a $10 game you've never heard of before, and especially.
And that other people aren't playing when there's only 200 people.
But
playing
here's the biggest issue, and I'm going to see how close I can get in on this. This is the issue, plain and simple, right here, Brian. And you know exactly what I'm going to point out. User reviews mixed. Yep. User reviews mixed. That is the issue. When you go on a Steam page and you see these words mixed, you know the game sucks. And not that Miscreated sucks, but it had its issues. And now,
well, and the fact that you can run around and not run into anybody, there's no storage system, like those things were all making the experience like for a survival player. And the fact that it's so much of a pain to even get a base because you can't have storage. People are like, man, why play it? Now, if they can release these things and get at least their recent reviews, like if you look, the recent reviews are going up slightly.
Yeah, it's up to almost 70%.
But they really need to put a push to get that to positive.
Yeah, it needs to be like 80, 85% because you're not selling copies of your game.
The way that you're going to do that is to really get it into the hands of a lot of people and get them to review it, like get hands-on with the community and say, hey, if you like this game, leave a review for us on Steam.
Yeah.
Tell other people how you like it. It'll encourage people to play. Like, they need to get that hands-on with this game.
Yeah, and that's the worst part. The overall is struggling because it had its issues in the beginning.
Yeah.
But the reason is within the last 30 days. I mean, so
Now, like Fox
69%
Tango,
of
he
the
wants to know, what sets this game apart. For me, what sets this game apart is the level design. It's beautifully laid out.
Yeah.
They've done an excellent job of giving everything purpose. Like when you walk around, and I've constantly said immersion is a big deal to me. When I walk around in these towns and along the roads, if there's a little trail going up to the right, up into the trees, it's not going to nothing. Like there's probably something back there. And if you follow that trail, you'll find either a campsite or you'll find a cabin up there. Like everything is laid out and has meaning. If you look at the new city, like it's Division like.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the level design and the beauty of Division, they've done that quality of level with how the of course it's not to the detail of the Division. Division is a huge budget game. Very difficult to pull something like that off. But for the small development team they've had, they've come very close. And that is very impressive to me. So if you look at the game, like if you can get past that, they've really got to tweak the combat of it, make guns, because H1Z1, one thing you can't knock them on is the gunplay feels nice.
Yeah.
Miscreated really needs to work on that with their gunplay and the animations. But as far as the level design, it's a beautiful game.
Yeah, and so we have one more stat before we move on here with it is, so they've had, in the last 30 days, there's been 210 reviews. 69 of them have been positive reviews. But 63 of those 210 were negative. I mean, that's 30%. That's a big deal. You can't have
how many of those are
reviews.
because when people run around, they can't find anybody to kill. Or like someone made a comment in chat, the zombies don't, they're a pain. I mean, they're really hard.
Yeah, here we go.
To kill.
But here's one. Here's this guy. He posted on June 27th, today. He gave it a non-positive review. I do not recommend this game at all. The loot is impossible to find, and all around this game isn't fun or worth the money. Don't get this game. Well, there you go. He's only got he's got 1.7 hours on record, which means he played it for almost 2 hours. He spent $10 on it, and didn't find any loot. And
that's the thing, is they haven't gone through and reworked the loot. Now that they have storage and things, they haven't put things inside of drawers and things like that. So if they can pull that off and kind of give that feeling, like they've got to finish this thing and put, like, because you find things on the ground, like they just made it to where things can actually be inside of objects.
This next review is pretty good. I'm just going to read the one line from it. I'm going to read two. No one ever plays the game. They never update it. And then this one is the kicker. You can just buy H1Z1. Much better than this BS. So I guess they're more happy with H1Z1 than miscreated. But yeah, I mean, that's a big deal when people have, if you've never played the game before and you play it for 2 full hours and you don't find or accomplish anything, then yeah, you know what? That is a negative. That is not a good game. That's an issue. You can't.
That's the thing, is they have a beautiful
hours.
level design, but they really need to get the loot system worked out and make it feel like you're actually getting things and accomplishing something.
Yeah.
Because you can run around for 2 hours and feel like you've accomplished very little, especially when you can't really save anything. Like you'll run around and a zombie, just because they're so hard to kill, will kill you, and you've lost all progress. Not because you're not skilled enough, but because for some reason 5 zombies showed out of nowhere. And it's so hard to shoot with those guns that even it's hard to be accurate with those guns. Like that can be very disheartening. Then you're going to turn around and say, man, this game is stupid. I'm going to write a negative review for it because of that negative experience. So they're going to have to polish that. And maybe that's at that point, once they polish that, they can turn around and do a major sale of this and get it in the hands of players and get those reviews turned around. Because once it goes up to the next level and not be an orange mix, that's going to start selling the game a lot faster.
In my opinion, this Steam sale was an opportunity for them to do that. They didn't. At least the numbers.
I don't think they polished their game enough.
I mean, this game's been out since 2014. I mean, it's
but that's what I'm saying though. Is they've done all this with the map. They've really got to polish the gunplay, how it feels around to run around. Like they've got to fix that, because this game will not take off until
I don't think it ever will, to be perfectly honest with you, because it just doesn't seem like they're I mean,
if they're not serious enough about it, it won't.
well, I mean, they're serious on developing it, but I mean, there's not even 300 people playing it right now. I mean, that's awful.
But the thing is, like, the animations aren't great. Like, they need to
Yeah.
either bring the right people on, or tell the guy who's in charge of that, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, realize the weak point and either bring someone else on or change somebody.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's Jones who just said they need to not work on the map. Yeah, the map comes after you've got a working
the map is
system.
fine. Like,
no,
they don't need
that's
to
what
expand it.
that's what I'm saying. Instead of adding a new city to the game, they should have been working on loot spawns and figuring out player animations, getting all this other important stuff done. Because you can have a new map, but if nobody plays, if 300 people are playing the game, who cares if there's a new city? Nobody's seeing it. Nobody's playing it. Who cares? It's irrelevant. I mean, you need working systems to have a map. You know, a game is not. You can have a great map and a really crappy combat system, and the game sucks. You could have the best combat system in the world and a really crappy map, and the game sucks. Unless you have some type of,
they have to get that balance.
well, it's not exactly. You don't need to have a. You can have a really kick-ass map like Miscreated does, and a pretty decent combat system, and the game will even out. But you can't have a garbage combat system, a fantastic map, and expect people to still play the game. Everything doesn't need. You're not going to have the best of everything, but you need to level this stuff out because clearly they're not. I mean, there's some disconnect somewhere because nobody is playing, and it's a real shame because the game's a lot of fun. Hopefully the relevant system changes that, but I don't know, Brian.
I keep hoping that they'll do, but it's going to take their development team really seriously looking at now. Like, you've gotten it to this point. Okay, well, now take a look at your weak points and just work on those weak points. Like, I mean, you can have, if the rest of your development team isn't involved in that area at all, have them work on whatever, but you guys really need to focus on your weak points and fix that, because if the game being a survival game where PvP is an element of it, if you run around and it's not fun to shoot people, like, it doesn't feel natural.
Yeah.
Which it shouldn't. I guess it shouldn't be natural to shoot people, but in this type of a game, it should feel like, okay, I can aim down my sights and I feel like I'm going to hit something if I'm aiming at it correctly, not have it be a gamble. And right now, like, it's just hard. I don't feel good when I'm running around with the gun that I'm actually going to hit anything, even if it's directly in front of me. And I don't think, I'm pretty good at aiming on other games. This one just doesn't feel natural in how a game should be with gunplay.
Yeah. Well, there you go, I guess. It's,
hopefully.
Yeah.
I have hope.
Somebody said it. I lost now, but it was just another game in the sea of early access, which, kind of how it is. So
let's have everybody, while we're doing this, go ahead and type in the code one more time just to make sure everybody is involved in this, because it does go up and down. So just type in 3 one more time, and then we'll do the roll here as soon as I do my tip of the week.
Yeah. Do you want to do that now, or do you want to do that after?
Yep. So let's go and do tip of the week is where I go through, and it could be a survival tip, could be some general gaming tip, but this should be something that helps you in gaming. This week we are doing a specific game, so this is tip of the week. All right, so for this week, this is a game that is on sale for this summer sale. It's This War of Mine. I've played this a decent amount, and it's actually a really fun game to play. It's a single-player game. It's one where you kind of play through a story, and it's based on just some people surviving during a wartime. It is a survival game because what you're supposed to do is go through and find food, and you have this house and kind of build up things inside of the house. But you kind of learn about these different characters as you go through. It is a very fun game. They do have a tablet version now, so if you want to play it on a tablet, it works fairly well on tablet, but I mostly play it on computer. So in there, I figure I'd give you a tip on how to be successful, because if you have a really slow start on this game, it's hard to catch up. A lot of it is about rationing supplies and keeping up with things so that everyone in your house survives. So this first thing you want to do, probably day one, is to get a water collector. This makes it so that you have a supply of water in your house. After that, day two, you want to create an alcohol distiller. This will allow you to make alcohol. It takes things like sugar and a couple things to make it, but if you can get a steady stream of alcohol being created inside of your house, you can use that because it has a high value when someone comes to your house to trade. So if you can get a decent amount built up, you can trade that for items maybe that are either heavy. So when you're going out and looking for items, it takes a lot to bring it back. Or you can have you can trade it for something that's expensive usually, or rare. So if you can get that alcohol built up, this lets you, when you are going out and picking up supplies, to bring home medical supplies, food, water, and sugar to make more alcohol. So that's a quick tip that if you can do that early, it will set you up to where you're able to keep up, and you can hit a point in this game to where you feel like you're constantly trying to keep enough food, keep enough water, make enough medical supplies to be able to keep people that are injured healthy, or to heal people. It's a fun game that it's a lot about keeping up, but you don't feel like it's a grind. So that's one quick tip just to kind of get you started to where it should make the rest of the game a little bit easier and take your mind off of having to go out and constantly bring back certain supplies, because you can build, there's different things you can build in your house. This allows you to buy those items rather than carrying back a lot of wood or something that takes up most of your inventory space. So that's my tip of the week.
There you go. All right, Brian.
And I've never done one on this War of Mine.
No, I like that. That's a kind of.
But it is a survival game. It is a fun game.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah. So do we want to go ahead and roll for this?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So Man Stand 3.
Fan of the show.
Yes, he's a fan of the show.
I'm sorry, friend. Not. Well, I mean, I guess he's not. Maybe not.
He may not be a fan.
Yeah, he's a friend, not a fan, or he could be both.
And I'll actually be sending you a Steam code. So this will be a code that you can enter directly in Steam, and it'll give you all 3 games.
So it was a bundle that did you create?
Yeah, it was
that?
a bundle of those 3 games.
Oh, okay. I thought you.
Yeah, so I can't separate them, but.
Gotcha. Okay, I was gonna say you're giving away quite the entourage of games there. So, real quick, a few other things to touch on, like we did at the beginning of the show. This month's Humble Bundle Monthly is Hurt World. Again, it's another one of those survival games that it's kind of like Rust. This is the last survival game I'm missing.
It didn't take up a ton of. I mean, it didn't take off. That well. I mean,
no.
But it is one that we're just looking at as playing as maybe a Friday night game night. Get everybody together and let's just go check out the game and have some fun. And right now it's cheap enough. If you do it in this Humble Bundle, it's not a total loss. If you decide, I don't like this game, you've got 4 or 5 other games to help make you feel better about your purchase.
Yeah. So, and you've got 3 days left to buy this bundle because they're going to release the new one. So get it now. Seriously, get it now. If you're going to get Hurt World, or if you have any inkling of getting Hurt World, get it for $12. You'll get like 3 or 4 other. Most of them are subpar games, but there may be a gem in there. Like The Forest was the gem last month.
The Forest was a really good surprise.
Yeah, that was
in there.
Totally like holy crap moment was getting that. So.
And that's that one. I think of the week before I told you, man, I've been watching The Forest.
Yeah.
I mean, I bring it up every once in a while. Like, I have on my list, The Forest is one of the only items on my wish list that I've really been kind of watching.
Yeah.
And there it was. So that was nice.
There you go. Anything else here, Brian? I think we're all set.
No, just make sure for the Friday night game night, we will have that on our Steam group listing. So if you need a reminder of that, make sure that you are a part of our Steam group. We send out notifications reminding you when the live show is. We remind you when the Friday night game nights are. It's an excellent way to connect up with people. Also, if you want to jump and join our Discord server, go ahead and go to infectionpodcast.com. On the upper right, there will be a link, because that will be part of that. If you click it, is actually an invitation link to our Discord. It's a nice way to kind of communicate with people outside of the normal hours. Or if you want to play a game, you can just type it in chat really quick and invite some people to play with you. Also, our TeamSpeak, which we'll see. I mean, if we decide, Discord, something's wrong with Discord, we may go back, but we have our TeamSpeak on there, and I think that's about it. If you want to find me, at Boise Computer is my Twitter, biteoftech.com, that's my blog, that's BITE of tech. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I have.
All right. Thank you very much, Brian. Of course, we'll see you Tuesday. Normally, we do the show on Tuesday.
So next week, it'll be Tuesday.
Yes. Normally it's on Tuesdays. I have a work commitment. Actually, I'm going to a casino. We're doing a commercial shoot at a casino. So that's where I'll be almost all day tomorrow. But
Nick will be gambling the whole time.
Of course. I'm just going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to lose every penny I have. There will be no show next week because we won't have any money to keep anything. The lights out. There'll be no lights and no internet because there'll be no money left. But we'll be back next Tuesday. Steam sale goes until next Monday, so you've got the next couple of days here to buy games. You've got the July 4th weekend, so you can do all of that stuff there. That is going to do it for episode 76 of Infection, the Survival Podcast. My name is Nick Craig. At Nicholas M. Craig is my Twitter. InfectionPodcast.com is the website. Have a great 4th of July, everybody, and we'll see you next week for Infection.